India helped Turkey in crisis. But Turkey armed Pakistan against India February 2023. A catastrophic earthquake hits Turkey. The world watches in horror as thousands perish. Amid the chaos, one country stands tall, India. Within hours, Indian rescue teams are dispatched under Operation Dost. But just months later, Turkey signs off on sending military drones and warships, not to India, but to Pakistan, India's sworn enemy. This is not just irony, it's betrayal. And this is the untold story. When disaster strikes, nations either hesitate or act. India chose the latter. Under Operation Dost, India sent over 250 personnel, including elite NDRF teams, paramedics, and rescue dogs, to help earthquake-hit Turkey. Tons of relief material, high-end medical equipment, and even portable hospitals were flown across borders. Turkish survivors later recounted, "The Indians came first, they worked tirelessly. India didn't ask for thanks. Just peace." But peace doesn't always beget peace. Despite no direct conflict, India and Turkey share a strained diplomatic history. Turkey has repeatedly backed Pakistan's position on Kashmir, raising the issue at the UN and supporting Islamabad's rhetoric. President Erdogan, in particular, has made statements aligning with Pakistan's views, a stance that doesn't go unnoticed in Delhi. Still, India extended aid, humanitarian, not political. Turkey's pride in defense innovation. Tested in Syria, Libya, and Ukraine, these drones are battle-proven. In 2023, Turkey reportedly finalized deals with Pakistan for supply of TB2SE, capable of precision strikes and real-time intelligence. These drones aren't surveillance tools, they're killers. India, with troops stationed along its northern borders, now has to consider Turkish-made tech in Pakistani hands. That changes battlefield calculus. It's not just the skies, the seas are heating up too. In recent years, Turkey and Pakistan have held joint naval exercises in the Arabian Sea. Turkey is also supplying Milgem-class warships to Pakistan, increasing Islamabad's maritime footprint. These warships aren't symbolic. They're armed with guided missiles and modern radar systems, potential threats to India's coastal security. For Turkey, this isn't personal, it's policy. Erdogan's neo-Ottoman vision includes expanding influence in the Muslim world, and Pakistan is key to that. Supporting Pakistan earns Turkey diplomatic leverage. But at what cost? Aligning with a nation that sponsors cross-border terrorism undercuts the values of humanitarian aid Turkey just received. It's a double standard, one that India cannot ignore. Despite these provocations, India has maintained strategic restraint. No sanctions, no retaliation, no aggressive counter-diplomacy. Instead, India focused on strengthening its own defense capabilities, inducting indigenous drones, bolstering naval forces, and deepening ties with allies like France and the US. But silence is not weakness, it's calculation. Across social media and strategic forums, Indians have questioned Turkey's actions. How could they accept our help, then arm our enemy? Many now advocate reviewing India's diplomatic and trade ties with Turkey. After all, gratitude without loyalty is just public relations. Should India reevaluate aid policy? Should nations receiving humanitarian help be held to account for future actions? Some experts say yes. Others argue we help because it's right, not because it earns loyalty. But realpolitik demands clarity and boundaries. The Turkey-Pakistan-India triangle teaches us this. Aid does not guarantee alliance. Goodwill can't override strategic self-interest. And sometimes betrayal isn't about war. It's about silence after a favor. India stood by Turkey when it mattered most. But in return, Turkey stood by Pakistan, not in words, but in weapons. This isn't a one-time misstep. It's a pattern. And while India will always lead with humanity, it must never forget to protect its dignity. Turkey, NATO ally or radical Islamist power? Turkey holds a powerful seat at the NATO table, a founding member of the Western Military Alliance. But under President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, its direction has shifted dramatically. No longer just a secular democracy, Turkey now walks a tightrope between East and West, democracy and authoritarianism, NATO commitments and Islamist ambitions. Erdogan's government has embraced political Islam, cracked down on dissent, and courted alliances with countries like Qatar and Pakistan. Critics argue that Ankara is using religion as a tool to expand influence, from supporting the Muslim Brotherhood to interfering in regional conflicts where Islamic ideology is a factor. Even within NATO, Turkey has clashed with allies. It bought Russian S-400 missile systems, undermining NATO's security protocols. At the same time, it's projecting power through military bases in Africa, drone sales to conflict zones, and vocal support for causes like Kashmir, often aligning with anti-India rhetoric. So, is Turkey still the bridge between Europe and the Muslim world? Or a radicalized regional force with NATO weapons? The West may tolerate it for now, but India and others must watch carefully. Because beneath the flag of diplomacy, Turkey's ambitions may be far more ideological than strategic. Turkey's tilt toward Islamist politics isn't just domestic. Internationally, Erdogan has tried to position himself as a leader of the Muslim world, often in opposition to traditional powers like Saudi Arabia or the UAE. His rhetoric in global forums increasingly reflects ideological posturing, especially when it comes to issues like Palestine, Kashmir, and Islamophobia. One of the most visible signs of this ideological shift was the conversion of Hagia Sophia from a museum back into a mosque, a move seen globally as symbolic of Turkey turning away from its secular roots. Domestically, religious education has expanded, and critics of political Islam are often silenced through arrests or media bans. Turkey's military footprint is growing in Muslim-majority countries under the banner of cooperation and defense exports, but often with strategic strings attached. From Somalia to Libya and Azerbaijan, Turkish drones and military advisors follow Erdogan's foreign policy script: project power, gain influence, and reshape narratives. Pakistan, a longtime rival of India and supporter of extremist elements, has become one of Turkey's closest allies. The two countries share military exercises, drone technology, and a united stance on Kashmir, frequently clashing with India's diplomatic positions on the world stage. His partnership with Pakistan puts Turkey in a questionable position, a NATO nation actively supporting a state accused of harboring terrorists. It raises tough questions for the alliance itself. How long can NATO tolerate one of its members engaging in ideologically driven partnerships that destabilize other democracies? In the end, Turkey's transformation is not just about politics. It's about power wrapped in the flag of faith. And for nations like India, the challenge is no longer just on the battlefield. It's in the arena of narratives, alliances, and ideology. One thing's clear: Turkey is playing a long game, and the world must pay attention.